Hi everyone, welcome to New Bear. Today I'm going to show you how to work a loop tatted ring. Now, thrown rings give us a ring coming off a chain. A loop tatted ring gives us a ring coming off a ring. It also gives us a way to add beads to the base of our ring. We're going to make both samples. Let's do the ring off a ring first. Start with a regular ring. I'm working the first half of my ring with 4 picot 2, picot 4. Okay, this next step is hard to film because it goes off camera. I'm going to try to do a small version and then I'll do it properly in a minute, but I want you to be able to see my hand setup. So what you'll be doing is pulling a long length of thread from your shuttle. You're going to need a fair bit. Keep the stitches in the pinch and then open up the loop around your hand. You can lay the shuttle to the back of your hand so it's out of the way. Now this loop needs to be a lot bigger than this. So as I said, I'm just showing you what we need to do. So we're going to hold the extended loop with your right hand, display the fingers of your left hand. Notice the thread is tensioned around my middle finger and my pinky. So I've gone from the ring setup where my hand is like this, and I've just brought my little finger forward. Hold this loop down at about 12:25 on the clock, and then we're going straight up between our little finger and our ring finger into the pinch. So you want that to come up and over. But notice when I do that, that thread through here is twisted. We don't want that. We want it open. So do that again. Display your fingers. Come around. If you have your hand facing down, your right hand facing down, you can just bring that straight up and then your thread doesn't twist here. If your hand is facing up, as that comes around, see how it's getting a twist down here? We don't want that. We don't want that twist. I need more fingers. We don't want that twist here where my ring finger is. So open that up and then that goes into the pinch. So I'm going to redo that properly now because this loop here needs to be a lot bigger. So I'm going to pull more thread off my shuttle. Open up the thread around my hand a lot more. Shuttle goes to the back, displaying my fingers and bringing that up. And untwisting that. You can see we now have 3 loops. So you know which loop I'm referring to. We're going to have the pinky loop, the hand loop and the stitches loop. We're going to use the stitches loop to work on our hand loop and make our second ring. We can finger tat, pull that first stitch in nice and close to the previous stitches. We don't want to have a gap there. Now you don't have to keep your little finger inside this loop, but if you remove your finger, be careful not to lose your loop. In a second you'll see why it's so easy for that loop to disappear. And as you can see, I am struggling a little bit with the finger tatting. So the other thing we can do is open up that loop. We can use an empty shuttle. So place the loop around the bobbin or the post of the shuttle. And then we're just going to continue. Now you can also see that this loop is getting very tight. Let's lay this out to show you. This is the first ring we started, the pinky loop. The second ring, the hand loop and our stitches loop. So normally when we need more thread, we just pull on the bottom of our loop. But if we do that now, that's going to take thread from our stitches loop. So we need to work it back from our shuttle. So holding your pinky loop and pull thread from our shuttle, feeding it through the pinky loop, then through the stitches loop. Make sure you're pulling the right side. As you see, if I pull this side, that's actually closing my hand loop. So you just have to play around and see which loop you need to be pulling. And now I can open my hand loop. And continue on with my stitches. So I'm doing 2 picot 2, picot 2, picot 2. And now we're ready to close our ring. We want to close the hand loop first. So we're pulling on our stitches loop. Again, make sure you get the right side. One side will close my hand loop, and that's my pinky loop. I don't want to close that one just yet, so we need the other side. Oh God, we need that side to close that ring. So now we're left with our pinky loop and our stitches loop. Now we want to close the stitches loop. We do that by pulling the right side of our pinky loop, and it might feel a bit tight. That's okay. Before we pull that loop completely closed, we need to pass our shuttle through there. So this is what we now have in our orange one, because I wanted to show you if we don't pass our shuttle through that loop and we close it completely, that loop is going to get pulled all the way in. Remember, this ring is made from the extended loom thread, so closing it without passing our shuttle through it first means we're going to lose our ring. So before that gets completely shut, pass your shuttle through, and now we can finish closing it. Finally, pull your shuttle until this loop is small enough to go back around your hand. Wind up the slack and finish out your first ring. Again, I'm doing 4 picot 2, picot 4. Okay, we're going to work a basic ring chain count for this sample. I've chained 8 reversed work and am ready for the ring. Once again, I've pulled a long length of thread from my shuttle. I'm going to place a bead on my shuttle thread. Push that bead down to the top of your chain and then pull that loop open. Place your hand in that loop, and we want this loop fairly big. Once that's on your hand, bring the loop around and up into the pinch. So once again we can finger tat, or I'm just going to go straight for my shuttle. We're going to work our stitches like last time. Again, bring that first stitch down so it sits right up against the bead. And I'm going to do 6, picot 2, picot 2, picot 6. But I've barely started, and you can see this ring is getting quite small. So if we pull on this loop like you normally would, that's going to take thread from my stitches loop. So we have to come back here, pulling on the other side of our stitches loop. We'll take thread from down here, take thread from my shuttle, which means I can then open up my hand loop. We're going to close this loop by pulling on this one. Make sure you have the right side, just like on our ring on ring sample. One side of this loop closes the ring. That's not it. That one, as you can see, goes to my shuttle. So we need to pull on the other side to pull this loop closed. Now we can pull on our shuttle thread to pull this loop in. It might be a bit hard to pull, so you just need to hold on to your stitches and pull. It's a bit tight. Now when we did the ring on ring sample, we passed our shuttle through this loop so we didn't lose our stitches. We're going to have the same issue here, except we can't pass our shuttle through this loop. If we do, this thread is going to run up the side of our bead. And we don't want that. So instead, we're going to use this loop, go around our ring, and now continue to pull that ring closed. Reverse our work and make our next chain. And that's it. See you next time.